Hey everyone, thanks for joining me so far for 90 Days in the Psalms. This begins week 3 of our reading plan, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about what we've read so far and some of the themes that we find in these first 40 Psalms of the Bible that we're reading between weeks 1 and 5. And one of the things that you'll notice about these first Psalms, today you will have been through Psalm 21. Obviously, sometimes we fall behind, and that's fine. But anyway, that's where the reading plan stands, is that at the beginning of week 3, we'll be through Psalm 21. And in these Psalms, they focus a lot on David's conflict with Saul. That seems to be the theme of the first 40 Psalms in the Bible. A lot about David's troubles and heartaches to do with Saul, and just also with the men that were pursuing him, and just kind of setting us up for an understanding of just redemption. Not only David's redemption from his persecution and struggles with Saul, but also our redemption through the death and resurrection of Christ. And so you'll see a lot of just prophecy, foreshadowing, that sort of thing. For instance, Psalm 22 is a good example of how the psalmist David talks about the coming Christ and how that is a picture of what God has done for us. And one interesting thing that I noticed about these Psalms is that they use a lot of parallelism. And parallelism is essentially the corresponding of one thought to another, kind of in subsequent verses. And so, for instance, if you think of Psalm 23 uses something, and I'm looking at my notes here to make sure I pronounce it correctly. It uses something called emblematic parallelism, which basically means that there's a movement from point to picture between the one line to the next. So, for instance, the first line of Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," it conveys the point of the psalm just in kind of a direct way. And then the second line sort of describes it in a picturesque form. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters." And so he restores my soul as we go on in the psalm. And we can form a picture in our minds of how that looks when the Lord is our shepherd. The Psalms also use a type of parallelism called antithetical parallelism. And what that does is it contrasts two lines or pairs of lines with each other. So the first line states a truth, and then the second line provides an opposition to that truth. So when you look at something like Psalm 1, where it talks about "Blessed is the man who delights in the counsel of the Lord, who does not sit in the seat of scoffers." I'm blanking on what the psalm actually says right now. But what it basically does is then it presents a truth, and then in the next two lines it presents that truth in its opposing fashion, or what the negative of that particular truth would be. So it's interesting to find in these poetic psalms the structure of how they're written and how that structure conveys different biblical truths. I just wanted to offer you an encouragement too if you're falling behind. I fell behind on day 7, I think. So don't assume that because I wrote this that I'm keeping up exactly all the time. But one of the nice things about this reading plan is that I try to limit the amount of verses that you'll be reading every day, so that if you do fall behind, you can play catch up. And a couple of ways that you could keep yourself on top of the reading plan would be to read it with your kids every day. Kids are really good at reminding you if you forget to do something that you're used to. So you could read these Psalms for family devotions every day. Another thing you could do is listen to an audio Bible. There are plenty of apps out there that will read the Bible to you in audio form. We use the ESV Bible app, and the guy who reads it kind of has a James Earl Jones voice, makes you want to fall asleep. It's very soothing. But anyway, he reads it to you, and sometimes that might be easier on certain days if you're in your vehicle traveling to pick up your kids, or if you are doing dishes, or if you're helping your kids with some homework or schoolwork at home. Whatever you're doing, that you can listen to that in the background, and listen to it multiple times too, because you can really start to pick up on a lot of the things, and just these different truths multiple times over. So I hope you enjoy these next couple of weeks of reading through the Psalms. I thought it would be fun if you want to get on Instagram and you can snap a picture of your Bible or of your coffee cup, or you can create a graphic, or just share an image that maybe reminds you of the psalm you're reading, and comment, caption the picture however you want. And I thought it would be fun to start using the hashtag 90 days in the Psalms. So it's just obviously all one word, hashtag 90, the number 90 days in the Psalms. And I've put up just a couple posts on that on Instagram. My Instagram link is in the comments of this video if you're watching it straight on YouTube, or it's also in the email that you received this video in. If you have any questions, feel free to hit reply to the email and let me know. Otherwise, I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Thanks.